9 o'clock. It's January 18th, and the three commissioners are present. We call this meeting to hear the concerns and ideas of the people that are sitting here, obviously. The other EMS providers in Bonner County. We're looking at making some changes to the way we do EMS here. This is a time not to yell at the commissioners or yell out your ideas or anything else. If you've got constructive ideas on a way that this can be done, we'll listen to it. But if all you're going to do is be mad and spout off, that's really not going to do any of us any good. But we will obviously allow you to speak for a 3-minute period, and the reason that is so that everybody gets a chance, not just the first few people. It looks like we've got a few. It's not a public hearing. This is a informational meeting that was called by the commissioners to listen to the concerns. This is not a debate. We won't be allowing debate from the people that are not in the up front here. We'd like you to come up front, state your name, who you represent. If you don't represent anybody, that's fine too. Just say, I'm just here to speak. So one of the things, this is scheduled from 9 to 11. So at 11 o'clock, we've got other things going. So we'll be stopped. We also received 6 written comments that I won't take the time to read into the record. Some of them are short, some of them are not short. So at any time anybody wants to see what those say, they can request that from our office, and you're more than welcome to see that. We received a comment from the Bonner County Medical Director, Dr. Ronald Jenkins, the Sandpoint Mayor, Shelby Rockstad, Vicki Woodward, Clark Fork Ambulance, and Thomas Eddy, who is JPA, I don't know if he's the chairman.
He's also the Sandwich City Council.
Yeah, Sandpoint City Council. Bonner County Fire Chiefs Association. So those are the 6 that we received that said they couldn't be here, but they wanted that we read these letters and concerns, and I have done that, and I'm sure the other commissioners also have. So we're aware of what they say. Like I say, be sure when you come up front, we've got a list of the people that you state who you are, where you're from, and who you represent. Try to stay on point so we can get going. All right. I don't know. You guys got anything you want to say?
Let the games begin.
Gil Tooney. You want to come up, Gil? I know who you are.
I know who you are too. Thanks for the opportunity. I have mostly suggestions and one concern. First of all, for everybody, my name is Gil Toomey. I'm president of Priest Lake EMTs, or Priest Lake Ambulance. We're a volunteer nonprofit EMS service that's been serving the residents and visitors of Priest Lake for 41 years. Like Farmers Insurance, we've been around a while and we've seen a lot, especially as it relates to interactions between a contract agency and Bonner County. Our territory covers 420 square miles. It's over 1/5 of the county. Our territory also covers areas of Boundary County and areas of Ponderay County that are not accessible from those areas, which pretty much equals pretty much the same size of what we cover in Bonner County. We have 25 volunteers, and those volunteers are recruited and maintained through a very small annual population in the Priest Lake area. It's one of our chief activities is keeping our volunteers. And it should be no surprise that I believe local volunteers motivated by service to their community should make up a large part or a part of the county's EMS service. I don't think it's something that's been used in the past. I think it's something that should be looked at. I believe EMS providing organizations should be located strategically throughout the county. I'm not saying where those should be located to minimize response times, and they should be BLS certified. And you should have ALS paramedics in chase cars that support those agencies. I don't believe that your main stations, your main areas need to be staffed by paramedics. EMTs, advanced EMTs are more than capable of handling that first response. As for, and this is my one concern, as for existing dedicated employees, if your decision is basically to have a negative impact on them, I say don't write that off as just business. To them, it's very personal. It's personal, I think, to all of us. You need to work to keep them as whole as possible. It's simply the right thing to do. And in closing, I just wanted to make a comment that my son gave me a book right after I became an EMT and got my certification. And the title of the book pretty much states the whole message of the book. I'm not saying to run out and buy this book. It's titled Population 486, Meeting Your Neighbors One Siren at a Time. This is how I would describe Priest Lake Ambulance. One neighbor helping another neighbor. Using volunteers to supplement full-time responders is not a bad model to follow. Thank you.
Thank you, Gil. All right, I'm gonna back up just a minute. There was a Robert Anderson that's got a line through it. I just wanna make sure that I don't, is there Robert Anderson?
Yes, I don't need to speak.
Okay, I just wanna make sure that that was the, Steve Zukas?
Yeah, I'm not really prepared.
Okay.
I misunderstood what the sign sheet was.
No problem, no problem. Brad Minton?
I'd just like to thank you commissioners for putting this meeting together, getting with us and gathering. I just want to try to gather information on what the process is here and where we're going, and just want to make a statement that the process, wherever we go, how we can be involved, and we can get together with the commissioners and work out this and provide the best services here for our taxpayers and our constituents here. And appreciate the opportunity to be involved in this process where we go here, so thank you.
Thank you. David Van Adder, otherwise known as Dave.
Okay, I don't know if there's a quarter for the record, my name's Dave, and I don't know everybody here, I wish I knew everybody. Is there anybody that's just a public person, or most people EMS providers? There's some public people. So you understand some of the stuff that's going on with the EMS. I have two of my commissioners here, commissioner's wife, lieutenant, chief, and wife here, so hopefully they keep me on the straight and narrow. But I work for West Ponderay, but I'm also a citizen of the county. I've been here for 45 years. And it's my turn in the barrel to try to help out people in the middle of the night. We've made maybe 500 or 600 EMS calls in the last 2 years, and we try to get to everyone we can to help our neighbors. And we work as with the fire departments. We normally work tiered response with Bonner EMS. Bonner EMS, I mean, they have the paramedic. We're just EMTs, and we're there if we get there 10 or 15 minutes early. You know, we can help do CPR. We can do stuff before they get there, or we assist them and help them with the hurting through the snow drifts and that kind of thing. So I have great respect for all Bonner County EMS. All of them have super good people skills, with grandma in the middle of the night, getting down on her knee and talking to her and that. And I'm not saying private can't do that, because we do have the not-for-profit at Priest Lake and Clark Fork, and you know, and so is Schweitzer is that way as well. In a way, they're a not-for-profit with their BLS ambulance. But the Bonner County EMS is very valuable. I know my tax bill I pay less than $3 a month for the ambulance, and as far as our budget goes, that's really not too bad at our house. It's like $30 a year. So, but my main concern is, and like, you know, we're just EMTs at our fire department. I'm not speaking for our commissioners or our chief, but my chief said I could speak. Is that we reenact this Bonner County Advisory Committee. It hasn't met in 2 years, and sorry, we've only been doing this business for 3 years, and it really hasn't met almost in the last 3 years. And it's part of ordinance 456 that established Bonner County EMS as far as the public entity goes and our tax levy goes. And I would really like, I've tried to get it going a little bit. I'm like, I guess I'm one of the pain in the butt people that sent some letters around trying to get the steering committee going, because I think, I was told by a past county commissioner that says that they said, good public policy comes from good public comment, and if you got a bunch of smart people on there that have probably hundreds of years of experience in their background, I would think they could help do some analysis on there, check some tax levies and other ambulance services bills. It's really hard when you're going through those figures. You know, somebody might have a cheaper tax levy, but then they charge for lots of services. If they pull a Band-Aid out, you're gonna get a $20 bill. And then Bonner EMS provides a super good service without charging a lot of things unless they transport. So just for the record now, if people wanna look this up, now this is on the Bonner County website. It's under bonnercountyid.gov. Emergency Medical Service Advisory Council explains exactly what the Medical Advisory Council does and how it's supposed to meet and what it's supposed to do. The last meetings, is Ken Graymick here? He was the last chairperson, and I wish he was here speaking for this. At the last meeting, which was in 2016, they decided to have annual meetings or as needed, ad hoc. And to me, it seems like with this many people here, it's as needed. So I'm asking you guys, is that my 3 minutes? I'm asking you guys to reinstate that and support us having that meeting. And if there's a confusion on whether the commissioners call that or the bylaws say the people can call their own meetings and you guys would be invited. So I would choose to have you
Actually,
guys
it's
come.
Commissioners
Thank you.
Advisory Committee, so the commissioners would call it. And the reason it went ad hoc is because it was like, people stopped coming. This is before.
Ad hoc means as needed. So it seems like with this kind of response, there must be something needed. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Mark? Stockton?
Hi, I'm Mark Sauter, I'm the,
Sorry. Kind of blends together there.
that's fine, call me anything. I'm Mark Sauter, I'm the president, the new president of the Fire Chiefs Association. We submitted a letter to the commission, I delivered it personally on Wednesday. I just wanted to briefly go over a couple of the points from it. Will the letter be into the record, or is it just what I said?
No, we got it.
Okay. The Board of County Commissioners have recognized the fire districts in our county as partners in the delivery of EMS since the formation of BCEMS through actions, ordinance, and taxing authority. We have only newspaper articles to inform us about the future EMS delivery plans for our county. So based on our invitation today, it's difficult to provide input as far as what we may think about a future system. So I really can't do that today. What I can do is say that the Bonner County Fire Chiefs Association believe the design process for the future EMS delivery system should include the expertise and concerns of all who are served in the EMS system and by those who deliver EMS services. We, the fire chiefs, believe our fire districts, emergency services, firefighters, and equipment are an integral part of the present EMS delivery system. We have firsthand knowledge of countywide daily operations. We provide high-quality, dependable EMS service, and it's an important part of the fabric of our service every day, 24/7. The fire districts work together collectively to provide these services to our communities and do it with gusto. The fire districts in our county also have a long history of delivering dependable emergency services and managing taxpayer funds with proper and transparent public board oversight. Is that my limit?
No?
No.
Our history of providing emergency services spans decades. In short, our communities trust us to deliver the emergency services that we do and do so dependably. The members of the Bonner County Fire Chiefs Association believe our EMS system could be improved, and we applaud the board for looking into the EMS system. And we're hoping that we look at this system top to bottom. However, with the information we have now, we don't have confidence that the current process will address our concerns. We insist the EMS system planning process be restarted so that the fire districts are involved and provide their insight. We believe our combined efforts will be worth the time spent.
So Mark, really quick, what are your concerns? You stated you
That-
want to make sure that we
That's a
we
whole
will
other
address
meeting.
our concerns.
That's a whole other meeting.
Okay.
You mentioned you didn't want to talk to anybody, so
Who said that?
that's our.
I just said not to have a discussion about.
Mark, you can reach out to us at any time, day or night. As a matter of fact, I can put out my personal cell phone number.
Actually, you can reach out to us too, Chief.
Yeah. So we get to actually determine what you guys do as well.
All right,
Because there's a double-edged sword here.
I don't think you wanna go there, Chief.
let's move on. We understand everybody's concerns, and one of the things that I think that anybody I've talked to and addressed on these subjects and questions is that we don't plan on changing or seeing any change with our partners at all. Moving forward, this is not about, I've talked to Gil about it, I've talked to West Monterey with Dave about it. It's so, if you're happy with what you have or what you've had in the past, I'm gonna stand to make sure that we still have that same thing regardless of which direction we go. So, it's just a clarify.
Yeah, and we're not, and actually, one of the things that started this is the fact that we weren't happy with what we had. We saw there's some problems, as the fire chiefs aptly admitted, and that's one of the reasons we've been taking steps to try to improve those issues.
Well, exactly, and when I mean, if you were all right with the way it was, it should only get better, but there's no going backwards.
And it already has.
Shannon Van Adder.
I'm just gonna speak from here, if that's all right.
Okay.
So actually, that's kind of why we're here. Some of us are not exactly happy with the way it's been going. We don't get as much input from all of y'all. We don't have as much say as we should, because we all run for the public and answer our calls and go and do things for them.
Who are you with?
I'm sorry, I'm with West Monterey Fire.
Okay.
I'm also EMT, and we run with Bonner County EMS. It has been stated that certain of you are businessmen and wanna run this as a business, but this is the public. We deal with them every day. We go out there, if they're low on their, say they have diabetes, we'll make them sandwiches, we get them milk, we do all this other stuff, we don't have to transport them. Now, with this Boundary County, I don't know why they are touted as having the best, why they're gonna come in here and rearrange our system that we already have working fine. They charge if they do not transport. They have a higher tax for their system. Sorry, I didn't go off my notes. Anyway, I don't understand why we're gonna change the whole system, which I'm not sure if you understand how far this reaches. We have lots of contracts with fire, with EMS, with hospitals, with, all other agencies when we go mutual aid. I don't know why we're gonna change the whole system because of somebody from the top. In closing, I think we really need a lot more public input. We need a lot more input from all the fire, rather than just, you guys looking into things that I'm not sure you understand on the medical and fire aspects.
Okay, thank you.
I know.
Robert Tyler?
sorry, I got to find my gavel.
Flying from everywhere. Clean those when you're done.
Here we are 15 years later doing the same thing we did 15 years ago.
Could you state your name?
My name is Robert Tyler. I live at 44 Birch Beauty, Priest River. Commissioners Bradshaw, Conley, McDonald, thank you for the opportunity to address the board regarding EMS. It is my hope that each one of you are familiar with EMS Ordinance 456, along with Idaho Code Title 31, Chapter 39, Ambulance Services. 456 clearly states that the purpose of the ordinance is for establishing a framework to administer, oversee, and regulate the provisions of EMS within Bonner County. It further states the commissioners shall define the structure, that word can be used in many ways, of EMS and the working relationship between the service providers. To set forth rules, regulations, policies, terms, conditions upon which service will be provided. This has truly never been done. Article 5 of the ordinance, Bonner County Advisory Council, as earlier stated, the board shall establish the EMS Advisory Council. The last posted EMS Advisory Board minutes were for May 11th, 2016. Why is that? Because you're supposed to have this in place. For at least two of you, the current operational and financial issues facing BCEMS fall squarely on your shoulders. Squarely, because you made the decisions to spend that money on those projects.
Which projects, Chief Kelly, former Chief Kelly?
It's gonna take out of my time, I'm
Okay,
gonna
sorry,
read
go
this,
ahead.
you can ask. The current administration has an opportunity to reverse the status quo political pattern of not truly knowing where you're going. So any road is gonna get you there. This exact thought process has happened over and over again. Please stop that process. I respectfully request the board to hold off on any decisions regarding the future of BCEMS until the following steps are taken. 1, reestablish the BCEMS Advisory Board. Now, I am not a proponent for either fire-based or private. Understand that. Fill those 5 positions with citizens who are willing to look at everything. Task the advisory board with conducting an overall assessment of the current EMS delivery system. Establish standards for the delivery of EMS throughout the diverse geographical segmented patient demographics of the county, from Clark Fork to Nordman. Time and distance.
Give him a little bit of time, I cut.
Yeah.
Time and distance, all right, is the issue. Once these items are complete, the Board of Commissioners could then call for proposals with a clear understanding of the standards to be met by each person who submits those proposals, so it's a level playing field. Lastly, rumors are abound regarding the salary and benefits for current BCEMS employees being cut, dropping out of the state retirement fund, etc. If this is true, shame on all of you, all right? If this is done, I expect the commissioners to be the leaders and cut equally their salaries and benefits.
Thank you.
Thank you for the time. I appreciate it.
Okay, Rob Goodyear?
Leave my glasses.
Oh, boy. Good morning. For the record, my name is Rob Goodyear. I live at 1079 Comeback Bay Lane in Sagal. For you, my written statement. I am just a private citizen. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, you have at this time a unique and ideal opportunity to develop and implement the best possible plan that provides for the citizens of Bonner County an emergency medical service organization that delivers the highest level of care. BCEMS has struggled over the years with poor leadership resulting in harmful management decisions, cost overruns, and high employee turnover rates. There is a wealth of knowledge and experience in this county. I urge and encourage you to establish a blue ribbon committee, regardless if you want to call it the advisory committee of which I was a member, whatever you want to call it. Establish a committee that encompasses the expertise from local citizens, stakeholders, and members of the EMS medical and fire communities, as well as representatives from governing boards of first responder agencies in Bonner County. The objective of that committee would be to provide you, within 6 months, the best possible plan for the professional, long-term, and cost-effective delivery of a county-wide advanced life support EMS system of which you and all of Bonner County can be proud. Thank you for your time and consideration on this very important matter. I appreciate it.
All right, Troy.
Zacharias and I misunderstood.
Okay.
So I don't have anything.
No
for it.
problem. Bill Steele?
Morning, Commissioners. Bill Steele, Timberlake Fire District. And believe it or not, we have real estate in Bonner County.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to just spend a minute telling you a little bit about fire-based EMS. Not that I'm in a hybrid system of fire-based and private working together. We enjoy that. Kootenai County Emergency Medical Services has the lowest EMS levy rate in the state of Idaho. Bonner County EMS levy rate is near the top of the levy rates in the state of Idaho. We put a lot of pieces of equipment on the road to take care of our citizens on a regular basis. We have fire stations strategically located to be close response to the citizens that call for the need. I just wanted to have a word about the fire-based piece because it's sort of been said that it's not a good program or it's not. I've been in Timberlake for 5 years and 40 years in Washington State where I retired from was all fire-based EMS in partnership with private organizations and so on. Today, Timberlake Fire District, through a contract with KCMSS with Bonner County EMS, provides BLS transportation services on the south end of the county. It's very effective, it works well. We're in partnership with Selkirk Fire District in terms of the immediate response, and then we cheer behind them with a transport ambulance. So there is a lot of models around the country that are very effective and efficient fire-based organizations. That's all I wanted to share. Thank you.
Thank you, and I have met with Chris Way, and he actually has presented before the 3 commissioners at the time, so. And we're familiar with Cook County and the way they operate, and it seems like a very successful program. Brandon Hermanek.
No comment, sorry.
Okay. Nicholas Knapp.
Good morning, Mr. Commissioners. My name is Nicholas Knack. I'm a resident of Old Town, Idaho. And I come with 22 years experience in fire EMS. I spent 12 years working on numerous ambulance services, both private, nonprofit, and here at Bonner County EMS. I served about 8.5 years. I'm very, very concerned as a constituent of seeing Bonner County EMS abolished and made into a private system or nonprofit. As I've had the opportunity to sit down for 2.5 hours with Mr. McDonald and express some of my cops don't make good EMS directors. We've done that 3 times. Hasn't worked out. Let's stop doing that. This county finally pays enough money and a salary to an EMS director. Let's go nationwide and find a leader, not a boss, to run this system and keep these people, friends of mine, that have been working their butts off here for 14 years and near retirement, in the retirement system and making a good wage. I thank you guys for finally increasing their wages so that they're not living off food stamps.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Chris Lewis? Okay. Terry Logan, or?
Good morning. My name is Carrie Logan. I live in the city of Sandpoint and have for 30 years. Let me start by clarifying my interest in the discussed process of evaluating and potentially modifying the delivery system of EMS in Bonner County. I have no interest in seeing any particular agency as the provider of EMS. Rather, I'm very interested in seeing that any changes made from the current structures are well thought out, data supported, and transparent. Last week, I spent some time looking into the status of North Valley EMS in terms of 501c3 status and EMS licensure status. I was unable to find on the IRS website a listing for North Valley EMS or a 501c3 organization, nor for Boundary Ambulance. I did find a listing for Boundary Volunteer Ambulance Service. Since 501c3 status is being touted by some as a reason to change the delivery model, it would be important to clarify this detail. In a telephone call to the State of Idaho EMS office, I learned that Boundary Ambulance operates under the EMS license of Boundary Volunteer Ambulance Service. I also learned that North Valley EMS does not have its own EMS license, but instead intends to operate under the Bonner County license. Perhaps that has changed in the last week. In my mind, it would be important to know that an entity was licensed as an EMS provider. I also searched the Secretary of State's website for a business entity in the name of North Valley EMS and found none. I encourage you to form a working group to research and report on the best way to provide EMS and the best process for making change. Thank you.
Thank you. Frank James?
That's me.
What brought this to my attention, and that's why I'm here.
Could you state your name and
Oh, yes.
where you
yes.
live?
I'm Frank James. I live in south end of Bonner County, right on the Kootenai County-Bonner line.
Thank you.
Place called Treeport.
Oh, yeah.
So, we are represented in our EMS service by Spirit Lake Fire District. And that's per agreement in 2011 that we had a big snafu about, and involved the governor and all the commissioners and so forth. And we had a good EMS service, and the commissioners at that time wanted to give it away to Newport, the service out of Newport, which would entail about 45 minutes of travel time to get to our location versus 15 minutes. And we thought that was unacceptable. And in the outcome of that, the board did too.
I agree.
So I have the agreement in hand that from the 2011 situation. But when I read the newspaper article, it was deja vu. And where I seen that Fox had been appointed to keep the chickens in the chicken coop, it really got my attention. And I think if you read that article, you'll see the fox in there. Okay, so I would ask that the county commissioners consider the 2011 situation. And if you don't have that agreement at hand, I have it. And we'd like to have a similar agreement like that. Cooney County residents pay a lot more for fire protection and EMS service than does Bonner County. I'm, for one, not object to have a raise in taxes to have better service and buy better equipment and cut down response times. And I'm sure that there's other people that would agree with that, even though we don't like taxes. So,
Yeah,
thank
you can
you.
leave those if you want. Just set them there.
Here, why don't you, so you want me to hold this?
Yeah. My wife wrote some notes, but I'll give it all to you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
We also share those concerns. Chelsea Earl,
I thought it was a sign-in sheet.
No
I
problem.
misunderstand.
Rose Brinkmeyer,
I'll pass, thank you.
okay. Sheriff Wheeler.
No, we're not.
Good morning, Commissioners. Sheriff Darrell Wheeler for the record. I believe it is imperative that Bonner County EMS remain part of Bonner County government. My office critically depends on the partnership we have with EMS and their paramedic who is assigned to our emergency response team. That paramedic is a team member who trains and works side by side with deputies and is available every time the emergency response team is deployed. That paramedic, if needed, can immediately render advanced life support to subjects targeted for apprehension and/or to the deputies who put their lives in harm's way to protect the citizens of this county. Bonner County EMS is a critical partner with our search and rescue teams who operate in this county, and we count on that relationship. The future of our community with respect to coordinated efforts in response to significant public safety incidents has and will continue to require ongoing cooperation and training to address these issues. EMS is an integral partner in public safety. That is why I would like to entertain the proposal that EMS be moved over to and under the Bonner County Sheriff's Office. There are several successful models of EMS and law enforcement working in such a capacity within the county. One such model is Alger County Sheriff's Department in Michigan. Alger County Sheriff Todd Brock advised me that they have successfully operated that model since 1980. During the last 4 decades, the sheriff has said nonprofit and independent ambulance services have tried to move in and replace that model, but those attempts never provided a successful outcome. There is always a sacrifice of service or an increase of cost to the county wherever that was tried. The Bonner County Sheriff's Office already has the infrastructure to support EMS in their operation. The transition could be seamless, and the advantage is overwhelming. Our office already has a full-time accounting and billing department, a training department, and an automotive repair shop with 2 full-time mechanics. Wherever ambulance stations are located, we could set up a satellite sheriff's office to meet with citizens, which would improve the overall customer service. In my proposed model, I would look to interview and promote one of the existing captain paramedics to be director to oversee the day-to-day operations of an EMS, someone who has a proven track record and has earned the respect of those who have worked under their leadership. I understand that the morale of EMS is very low and the employees have feelings of apprehension about their future job security. Many are applying for jobs outside the county, and our county is at risk
of losing highly trained professional paramedics and EMTs. I urge this board not to prolong this evaluation process and make a faster than normal decision to keep their service in whatever form as a county-run entity. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thanks. Tim Woolfield?
Yeah, I'm Tim Schofield, I'm a San Juan Fire Co-Chief out in Pope, Idaho. Thank you for having this meeting and letting us all voice our opinion and have a little input. My concern is to, as you're hearing, to try to have some sort of a process, whatever decision is made, that we can have input and be part of that process. I think that's the thing that we'd like to see. Have a lot of people here who have a lot of experience, past history, things that have gone on. They know what works, they know what doesn't work. We also, with our fire district, we co-partner with Park Ambulance. We have a pretty good working relationship, so for us, on our end, it works really good. And I'd like you to continue to have open meetings and let us be part of the process.
Thank you. Will Gatsby?
Thank you for calling this meeting. I'm William Gadsby, Westside Fire District Commissioner. I represent the Renco-Laclede area. I'd like to ask the board to simply have a more thorough evaluation, including all of the affected parties, our private EMS providers, all the fire districts, and county-wide providers of all sorts. I strongly recommend a fire-based EMS. Thank you.
Vicki Woodward?
Vicki Woodward, Park Ambulance. You do have a letter from me. Primarily, I was concerned with the communication, having communication with all the agencies. In my letter, I mentioned about having emissaries from all the agencies in meetings. They brought up the Bonner County Advisory Board. I think that's a really good idea, but I would like to know that input is requested from all agencies as well.
Thank you.
That's it.
Spencer Newton?
Thanks for having us. Spencer Newton, Schweitzer Fire District, moved here in '91. From Sandpoint, been here since, on the fire district since '94, Schweitzer Fire, and we started ambulance transport in 2005. And have done so, I feel successfully and without any issues. Public entities tend to be far more transparent normally than private, have more accountability, typically more than private. But I'd really like to ask, why are we here? This meeting shouldn't be taking place right now. And the reason it's taking place, from my understanding, is because of the lack of transparency that took place, coming to the decision that a number of us are worked up about. Going outside of our county to a private association without any input whatsoever, again, from my understanding, practically anybody in this room. Had it been transparent, had options been offered, and I think it's great that you guys are looking for options. It's just the way you went about it, and I'm talking about previous commissioners, obviously. You know, I've never heard of a sheriff's EMS system. That's new to me. I don't know if that's good or not. I've never had the chance to look into it. It means I get to carry an AR in my ambulance, so much the better. But, you know, this is really simple. This needs to be, we need to involve all the professionals in this room and the other ones that aren't here. We need to all have an opportunity to express our concerns and our feelings and our experiences and our methods and come up with a system that we're all good about. Not one that one or two people did behind primarily closed doors on their own, with no input from anybody else in this room for the most part. There is one exception, however. From my understanding, Selkirk Fire was asked how would they would run the system. They were given 2 days to come up with a plan to operate a countywide $3 million budgeted operation, which is obviously planned for failure to ask that kind of question in that amount of time. It's silly. Other than that, nobody else was included. That's a problem. So from here on out, I think we need to address all options, get that Bonner County Advisory Committee together again, start from scratch, let there be input, let there be meetings. Don't put this on the fast track. Let's do it right the first time, or maybe in this case, the 10th time. And let's be proud of what we come up with for a change. Thank you.
Ron, did you want to talk then? You're welcome to.
Okay, I think everybody's done a great job expressing their thoughts.
Mayor Rockstead.
Thank you, Commissioners. Appreciate you hosting this meeting. Welcome, Commissioner Bradshaw, to the board. And I really appreciate hearing all of your comments, and I really agree wholeheartedly. And what it tells me is how much collective wisdom and experience we have in this room, and I think we need to use that to our advantage. I know we also have the resources that it takes to run an excellent system. I think we have a great opportunity through collaboration to put our minds together and come up with a system that is better than we've had before and is efficient, cost-effective, and it's the right thing to do. I wrote a letter to the commissioners. They received it. I know it didn't get read into the record, but I wanted to mention that we had a city council meeting Wednesday night, and the city council approved the letter unanimously, so I also represent them here today. And the bottom line, I think we owe it to the taxpayers to create the most efficient system with the best service that we possibly can. And the way that we do that is we put our resources together, we put our minds together, and we figure it out. And for that reason, I also support the idea of an advisory committee. If it means hiring an outside consultant that can give us insight and experience into what else is happening around the country, as the sheriff mentioned. There's some innovative programs out there, and we really need to inform ourselves as to what the best approach is forward. But certainly it requires all of us working together to come up with an excellent system. And as I said, we owe that to the taxpayers. It's our duty. So thank you for letting me speak. Appreciate it.
So that is the end of the list. I'm going to invite anybody that wants to participate this time to go ahead and make their way up here and introduce themselves, and feel free to speak. A lot of people will be listening, and then they'll think, oh wow, I wish I could now say something. So this is your time. Okay? Oh.
Bernie Frechette, I'm a taxpayer, and I also work for Selkirk Fire. I think it's pretty obvious that the commissioners have heard enough from taxpayers and from also people who work and volunteer within the system. So it's your responsibility to hear all of us who employ you, all of us and many other people who are not here, who are telling you that you need to listen to us and stop this process, listen to all the experience in this room, and to come up with better plans than you presently are proposing to put into this county. It's an irresponsible act not to use all the experience and to truly represent EMS and fire in the county. So you're wrong if you don't listen to all of these people. You're completely wrong.
Anybody else? Okay, so I think that. Oh, go ahead.
Hi.
I think I know you.
Good morning, I'm Cheryl Peel, and I'm the Bonner County Treasurer. And I collect the tax dollars for EMS, and we hear concerns of the citizens when they come to the counter to pay their taxes. And why are they getting a bill in the mail from EMS when they actually pay money on their tax bill. There's a lot of things we don't understand. But what I don't understand is all the meetings behind closed doors where none of us were invited. And my first clue about this was from what I read in the paper. So I am truly disappointed in that process. I think we should move forward, and we need to include all the players so together we can move forward as a team, because when you have more people involved and are part of the decision, things will work out better. That's all I have to say.
Thanks, Cheryl.
My name is Carol Harder. I've lived here for over 25 years, and I have seen the ups and downs of the services in terms of who is going to cover and serve the community. I've been pleased by the last almost 15 years in many ways, and I am surprised at the lack of concern to the professionals that have been providing that service. And like our friend over here mentioned, the personal service that has gone to homes everywhere in our area and district that's served is, there could be stories that would take hours upon hours to tell what these heroes have been doing for our community and our people. And they have been just bypassed in this movement to change things in a way that hugely impacts them. And like a previous testimony mentioned, will probably run really high quality people out of serving our area because of that kind of maneuver. I'm sorry to hear it, and I would like to see some things in this room implemented to preserve the honor and the professionalism that we have at our fingertips. Thank you.
All right, commissioners, thanks for holding this meeting. Please don't look at me as a firefighter. Unfortunately, we scheduled the meeting on my day on, so please confer with me next time so I can be on. So I just wanted to.
You just state your name.
Oh, sorry.
Name.
You guys all know.
Actually,
For the
I
record.
don't.
Right, for the record, Michael Gow, physical address is 193 Ellis Drive in Sandpoint. So I just wanted to talk briefly. First of all, obviously, as being a firefighter, I'm support of fire-based EMS. I've seen my brothers and sisters in the fire department run that system in Kootenai County. It's been successful. There is very low turnover. The only turnover that they really have is for firefighters and EMTs going to a larger department, typically in Spokane. But we don't see the turnover that we see here in Bonner County. The other thing is fire departments have infrastructure. We spent $1,332,155 from county alone. That doesn't include the money EMS spent for the building in Sagal. And that could buy a lot of equipment and personnel. Where if we utilize fire departments' facilities, that saves a lot of tax dollars. It's been said here today that we've tried private before, and they failed. This is exactly what Pat Songer from Bonner County EMS wanted. He wanted the county to subsidize their system. I didn't think it was right then. I don't think it's right now. So we've tried that before. We haven't tried allowing the fire departments or some sort of partnership with the fire departments to run EMS before in this county. Why not try it now? Lastly, I just want you guys to look at the human factor. It was talked about that potentially wages would go down, employees would lose their Percy retirement system. Percy is one of the best retirement systems in the nation. Okay, it's going to take so much more. A 401k is not going to make up what those people would lose. So I just ask you to look at the human factor and look at what those employees would lose, and base your decision on that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. You will get a chance. I just want to make sure that we've reached out to everybody in the room, and then we'll have what I'll call somewhat of a rebuttal from the commissioners to answer some of the questions. This is not a time to start a discussion. This is a time for us to state the things that we heard and the concerns that we heard. And I think we can answer quite a few of these questions and quite a few statements that have been made. It's obviously we don't want to get into an exchange, so we won't allow that. So anyway, at this time, who wants to go first? I'll go last.
Good. I'm your new commissioner. Most people don't know where I stand on any of this. Most of this transpired before my shift. I was put in place by you. Part of my campaign was, I work for you. Bottom line, I don't work for Bonner County, I work for the citizens of Bonner County. I want to thank EMS, fire departments, and police departments for what you do. Y'all are the heroes of our nation. As a county commissioner, I'm not willing to put at risk the citizens of Bonner County or the people who serve Bonner County, and that includes EMS, Sheriff's Department, and fire departments. The best interest of the county and the people of Bonner County is what will drive me. Fire-based EMS are probably the most successful nationwide. There's 100 options out there. Many work, many fail. The boundary ambulance proposal, I think, is a map to 100% failure. It's based on the same blueprint that Blue Sky was. I think it's foolish for government to do something, and when it fails, do it the same way again. Nothing about it makes sense. I want the people of Bonner County to understand where I stand, that I work for y'all, and y'all serve the community. And I'm an advocate for y'all. I'm open to listen to any options you want to bring to me. And I just want you to understand where I stand so that you know what you have for a commissioner. Thank you very much.
I just want to go through some of the statements made and see if I can add some clarity here. First of all, Jeff and I, we weren't excited about what we call the MUF, the multi-use facility down south. It happened, Buford. It happened before our time. We got stuck with it. We recognize the shortfalls of having the former law enforcement officer run an EMS. It's one of the reasons we made the change. All we've done to date is hired an interim director. There's been rumors flying around everywhere. There's been stuff in the paper that's not been true. And it's unfortunate that even though I've been very transparent, so has Jeff, that no one's bothered to call and ask us. We've had a few people come in. Dave Van Adder, to his credit, came in. Nick Knack came in. I can't help but say Nick Knack, Paddywhack, we're talking about. And we don't walk into this lightly. That seems to be the attitude that somehow we willy-nilly woke up one day and said, hey, I know what we can do today. Let's screw with EMS. We've been looking at this for quite some time. We've all been doing research individually. The meetings we've had that have been in executive session have been personnel-based, other than when we started interviewing Chief Stocking and Chris Way and some other folks. But there was no decision made, even though there was a claim out there that we had violated open meeting law, which is not true. That we had violated the ordinance, which was not true. The reason there isn't a committee anymore is because all the committee members self-selected out. It was put in, it was mothballed, it was put ad hoc in 2016 before Jeff and I came on. So there never has been a committee since we've been on. It's been an ad hoc committee that has had no reason to get together, and it's just, again, just an advisory committee. I have no issue bringing it back, but it wasn't done away with on purpose, and there was no reason to actually meet with them anyway, because all we've done is hired an interim director to replace the issue we had in the past. Wages aren't going down. If in fact we move this direction, we are going to actually have this under contract with the county, and we've already negotiated that if we go this direction, we're going to determine the wage structure so that the employees will be made whole. We're trying to figure out a loophole to keep Percy, but Percy really, I'll have to, I like Michael, but I'll have to disagree with him. I've been in the private sector a lot, and Percy's not that great. And I'd be happy to show you my investment portfolio from my retirement from the business I worked for before. It's much better. What else? We've gone through the proposals. In fact, we've got a gentleman here that's helping us on the finance side that we brought in. He's volunteered his time, and he's going through all the proposals that we've had just to make sure that they're viable. And at this point, we're just kind of moving it slow, taking it easy. We don't have our foot on the gas. What I said, I think in the paper, was 6 months to a year, but we have no timeline on it. What we are seeing with the new interim director is we brought back QA/QC, which had been gone. It'd been gone. We don't know how long it'd been gone. We brought back training, which had been gone. When I had been meeting with the employees, they were all concerned because they hadn't received any additional training for over a year. So we didn't have our best folks in there. Or our folks weren't getting trained, I should say. We have our best folks, but they weren't getting the training that they should have to serve the people of the county. So already we've seen great improvements. Our medical director is ecstatic with what we're doing. And I'll read a quick excerpt. I think it's back to letter. Let's see. I wanted to express my support for Chief Jeff Lindsay and that I am willing to support the current plan as outlined recently. While I understand the frustration of current providers, I understand that you have been working diligently to preserve salaries and retirement benefits. I have had a chance to discuss the evolution of our local EMS system with Chief Lindsay, who has some excellent ideas and energy to pursue them. I'm willing to work with Chief Lindsay to ensure our EMS system continues to offer quality EMS care to the citizens of Bonner County. Partnerships like with Clark Fork, I know we got some folks from the Clark Fork EMS, will still be maintained, as well as Selkirk, or as well as, Schweitzer and Priest Lake. Everything will continue to go on as it has, only better. We recognize there was a problem with it. We recognize we had issues, and it's why we made this move. And again, we're not making this willy-nilly. We're not flipping a coin and saying, well, what do you think? So, that's all I got.
So, one of the things I want to make very clear is transparency. Everybody keeps talking about this. Well, to tell you the truth, some of the stuff that came out when it came out shouldn't have never been done. There was still just discussions. What we have to do is to try to look at what the offers or what the different ideas. I met with, probably starting about 5 months ago, Chief Stocking. We have discussed this many times about fire-based EMS. I met with Chris Way in Coeur d'Alene. I went over there, talked to him for several hours about the way they structured. Gave me a great rundown on their integrated fire-based EMS. Talked to Jeff Lindsay. On my own, I was doing this as a commissioner on my own, saying, we have some problems. It's pretty obvious. We have the largest turnover rate of paramedics and EMTs of anybody I know. So to me, that tells me that structurally, something is not right. We are doing something wrong. So behind the scenes, trying to keep a lid on it, because that's what you would do if you're just trying to, all I wanted to do is have each one of them come forward and say, hey, this is the way we do it. We're not trying to tell you this is the way you should do it, but this is the way we do it, and we're very successful at it. And at the time then, when Chief Bussey resigned, then it kind of took a different turn. So we started looking at what would be the best way for Bonner County to move forward. Those decisions have been made. Let me state this again and again. I have not even made up my mind, so it's pretty hard to believe that we've made a decision. I'm still not sold on any certain system, or even just going back to hiring a chief, that could do the job. I think there's people out there obviously could run the system and run it well. One of the things I think we did make a mistake is obviously to see all you folks here today and your concerns. I'm not sure how we could have done it in the situation we were in, because what happens is as soon as you decide that I've got calls from Moscow, I've got calls from Washington, I've got all kinds of offers for people to take over and operate our EMS for us. So then we suddenly get what I'm gonna call, this is what works for me, so I wanna see it this way. So then it becomes harder for us to even look at the different models that are out there. So for us, for me, I wanna look at these models at my own pace and try to decipher what looks like it would work the best. I, myself, question Firebase in Bonner County, just for the fact, I think that in this corridor, it could probably work pretty well, and I've told Chief Stockton this many times, I don't know what happens when you get out to the Priest Rivers, the Blanchards, the Priest Lake. I have serious concerns about that, and I don't know the answers there. As far as the budget, this isn't about saving money. Nobody up here wants to risk life to save money. This is about trying to offer the absolute best response and service to the people of Bonner County for the money that you're already paying. This isn't about, wow, I bet, hopefully we can save $500,000. No way. If we can save $500,000, I'm gonna put it right back in to EMS and make it better. That's the whole idea of this thing, is just that we have some gaps, and those gaps have built over the years. These are some of the problems that I had with the plan that we were already working on. Priest Lake used to get paramedic during the summer and on holidays. Doesn't happen anymore. Priest River used to have a chase car with a paramedic. Doesn't happen anymore. So some of my biggest concerns is, what are we doing with our outlying partners? We had Newport Ambulance that had a contract so that there was paramedics to back up the west side over there. Not there anymore, because they went broke. Why haven't we done something to make that better? Those are my questions. All I want to do is offer the citizens of Bonner County the best possible service at the rate that they're already being charged, because we are at the top of our levy limit. So there's no going anywhere from here without going back to the voters. So, and I'm not opposing that. We just need to do the best with what we have. So, anyway, at that, we encourage you to, if you have questions of any one of us, please knock on our door or come up to our office, call us on the phone. We're more than willing to tell you everything we can. Obviously, there's some things that we can't discuss. I don't know that there's a lot of secrets, but there's probably a few things that we can't bring forward. Okay. At 10:11, I will call the end of this meeting, and I appreciate you all coming, and I appreciate the fact that you followed the rules, and you know, this was very constructive. We got some great comments. I wrote a lot of them down. Thank you.